Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. The AI related stocks, like I mentioned, ended up bouncing. So Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, AMD, these names ended up doing really, really well. And because these stocks bounced, it caused the NASDAQ to also bounce. All right. So in today's video, we're going to have to take a look at what the next steps are for everything. We're going to look at the leaders. We're going to look at the SP500, the NASDAQ, the Russell, the dollar, the bonds, the yields, and the VIX. We're also going to take a look at TLT. All right. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So to start it off, we had a 100% success rate day in the Discord. Worked out really, really well. Went 5 for 5. But then after I posted this, I shared 2 other trades that would be really, really good. As the market was rising here, I said it would be an amazing opportunity to enter short. And it was. Clearly was. Right? And then on this exact minute, I said it would be an amazing opportunity to go long. And that worked out beautifully as well. So we're calling everything. The Discord, the trades, everything is working out really, really well. So if you guys want access to the Discord, the link is in the channel description as well as in the comments below. Definitely check that out. The proof is in the pudding. And, you know, it is what it is. The numbers don't lie. Neither do I. And yeah, it works out pretty well. That was a really good rhyme, actually. Okay. But yeah, definitely check out the link. I definitely hope to see you guys there. All right. Let's get started with the rest of the video. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at Nvidia. So Nvidia, these chips, like I was saying, were leading to a bounce and they were going to bounce soon. Right. So we did. But now, how much higher do we have to go on Nvidia? And what I use to do this is I look at a Fibonacci level. So I get the high to the swing low. And one of the safest places that we would end up bouncing is always the 38.2% fib. So we still have some room to go. And knowing Nvidia, once buyers start to step in, we could easily even hit the 50% fib. So we still have at least $5 to $10 to the upside on Nvidia. Once we're here, this is where bulls and where the market essentially is going to have to make a decision for another move down, or if we're going to, retest and then continue up. But in general, at the moment, Nvidia has some more room to the upside. AMD bottomed out, right? It's not breaking lower, right? But then Google was a big winner as well. I was mentioning how Google, Nvidia, all of these stocks were getting very close to the lower level of their Bollinger Bands. So it was going to lead to a bounce. And similar concept, Google has up to the 38.2 and the 50% fib. That would take us to around 134, 134.50 area on Google. Microsoft also had a really, really nice day. Good little bounce on Microsoft. And once we hit 374.80, that's when the market is going to have to make a decision. But in general, what we're seeing out of these AI-related stocks is there is still a bit more room to go to the upside, but the best times to go long on them was yesterday. So we're going to have to see if strength continues. Let's just go ahead and look at the rest of the tech stocks now as well. Apple did really, really well. Apple did very, very, very well. And now we can see that we had a high of 194.50. This coincides perfectly with prior levels of resistance on Apple, and all up here, it's a lot of resistance. So as we get up here, it's a lot of resistance. So what I don't generally like to see is a very, very strong move to the upside like this into a level of resistance. So what I now want to see is a bit of consolidation, or a pullback as we got close to this level of resistance here. So once again, there's still a bit more room to go to the upside on Apple as well. But, once we're here, it's definitely not the time to start going long. All right. So Apple in general had a strong move. Amazon also bounced off of this level of support really well and also had a strong move coming back to these prior levels of resistances and wicking. So this is not, it's not the worst situation, but we are at a level of resistance on Amazon. Same concept. Tesla also had a bit of a green day and wicked. Meta held support Very, very similar looking to AMD. And you can see that it's hugging the lower level of the Bollinger Bands. So now, we have to see if these losers, these AMD, Meta, if they can start picking up some steam as well. If Facebook ends up breaking above 326, 327, that's going to be really, really important. So, let's see if that ends up happening. But the longer that this holds support here, while the other stocks are showing strength, it is a much higher probability that Meta holds this support and ends up bouncing. So, yeah, we're just going to have to see. But, for now, those AI stocks definitely did really, really well. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the troublesome three: the dollar, the VIX, and the yields. All right, so to make this very, very nice and simple, the dollar is clearly showing a lot of strength. But why is the market not falling? So, okay, so as we know, the dollar has an inverse relationship to the market. When the dollar rises, the overall market should be falling. Great. Okay, why is the market not falling? It has a lot to do with bonds. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at TLT and the 10-year bond. So TLT does well when the tech stocks are doing well, primarily. So tech outperformed, right? Tech did really, really well. And TLT clearly did very well also. And now when we look at the 10-year yields, right, we know that the 10-year yields have an inverse relationship to the market. So with the yields falling and with the bonds, the TLT rising, right, it looks like the yields want to get closer to a level of support before we end up bouncing out of it. And it doesn't matter that the dollar is doing well. It doesn't even matter really that the VIX was also doing well. A lot of it has to do with the yields and the strength in the tech stocks right now that caused the bonds to do really, really well. So right now, right, as we know, the 10-year yield has an inverse relationship to the market. So with the yields, when the yields rise, that's bearish for the market. But as we can see, the yields ended up having another red day. Now, if we have another solid red day, that I think would be a very, very good opportunity to be bearish on the market and to be long the yields and short the TLT. Okay, so that's my opinion on that. And the VIX, primarily due to the fact that we had a very strong move in the tech, the VIX took a hit because it has an inverse relationship. So when the VIX does well, then the stock market falls. But because tech stocks did really, really well and outperformed, the VIX took a bit of a hit, and they're continuing to keep this below $13 and below $13.50. So one of the main things that we're going to have to look at is the yields moving forward, because we already see strength out of the dollar. And now, it's all eyes on the yields for now. So something that I just want to show you guys is the Chinese market. And this is starting to look really, really interesting to me for a bit of a bounce, because we are very, very overextended to the downside in terms of the Bollinger Band. And when we do get a bounce like this, it can positively impact Chinese names. For example, Baba, JD, Baidu. So expect some strength out of these stocks as the Chinese market starts to bounce. And, if we get a huge move to the downside on the Chinese markets to further bring us lower outside of the lower bands, then, it would be a really good opportunity, in my opinion, to go long. It's going to be very interesting to see. So let's start off with the NASDAQ. We could see that the NASDAQ had a nice strong bounce. Obviously, tech was the biggest winner, right? The IWM was the biggest loser, and the SPY ended up closing flat. So, essentially, you could see that the lower level of the Bollinger Band is continuing to sharply rise, right? The NASDAQ is continuing to hold in this little pocket here. So as it remains in this pocket, the lower bands are going to continue to increase, and that will stunt the amount of downward movement we have on the NASDAQ, the longer we can stay here and the faster the Bollinger Bands increase here. So the main level of resistance that we need to break above for bulls is 388.50 on the NASDAQ. And you can see that this is a downtrend. We also need to break out of this downtrend here. And this is like pretty... tomorrow could be a very explosive move to the upside. Potentially. It could be a nice, strong move to the upside based off of this setup, to be honest. And we have to keep an open mind because a lot of people are expecting a bearish move in the first half of the month because seasonality wise we do end up getting a pullback or it's flat and bearish, right? But when during that time the pullback ends up happening is yet to be determined. And with that being said, that's why if you want to fight against the trend, which is being bearish because the trend is clearly bullish, if you want to fight against the trend, you have to get time on any put plays that you take because it's very risky to get into short-term puts. So that is my only concern, right? So 388.50 is the level of resistance. The support is 383 and 384 area, right? So pretty simple, nothing really new here. So there's that for the NASDAQ. So the IWM had a huge move to the downside. It got slapped today, but given the fact how strong everything is for the IWM, I would not be surprised if we end up getting a bit of a little move down and then a continued rise. Because overall, this is really bullish on the IWM. Obviously, it's not really the best situation. It's not the best setup. But the IWM is definitely showing a lot of bullishness overall. Seasonality-wise, in the next month and a half, yeah, the IWM is pretty good. And I do think we should end up seeing 190 maybe by the end of the year at least. So yeah, this little pullback, I don't think it's going to be a monumental one. If it is, I mean, that's great. We're in puts, but we're not in IWM puts, we're in SPY puts, but I think that we might just get like a little pullback to 183 and then a rip to the upside afterwards. So yeah, let's see. Overall, you know, I'm just bullish on the IWM, basically on pullbacks and everything as well. So yeah, you know, that's my thoughts on the IWM. And the SPY continuing to do what the SPY does best, just bouncing around, keeping a nice tight little, not really doing much, just keeping very tight price action. And yeah, just continuing to close above this trend line. We're going to take a look at it on the SPX. Looks way cleaner, right? We have 4 closes above this trend line. And now it's, you know, we need to see if we can finally start to show some strength or to show some weakness. But yeah, you know, it's also doing the similar thing to the NASDAQ. We're holding this little pocket zone. The Bollinger Bands are starting to increase very sharply. So the longer we stay here, the less room we'll have to the downside afterward. So yeah, guys, yeah, you know, the levels on the SPY remain the same. We have support down here at 454. Below 454 is 452, then 450, then 448. But up here we have 458, and of course, you know, 460. So not much else new here on the SPY. But, you know, the only thing that we could key off of is the continued strength that we might see out of the AI related stocks. If Meta can start to bounce as well, and let's take Netflix as well. If Netflix can also start to bounce as well. So we have to key off of these, and then we have to see if the dollar can continue to rise and if the yields end up giving a bounce. So aside from that, there is not really much else to look at. Hopefully we get a clearer picture heading into the end of the week, but I'm not expecting that either. All right. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. And I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you.